Hi, I'm Allie. This is a foam roller practice. All you'll need is a half foam roller or a full foam roller, whatever works for you. Invitation to be comfortable during this practice. Finding the level of effort that is comfortable for you. Starting with the foam roller under your sacrum, right before the butt crack forms. And then you can just hang out here for a second and start to drop in, feeling your pelvis, feeling your breath. There are so many things we can do in this position. I'm just offering a few suggestions. You find yourself starting to move in any which way that feels right for you. As always, feel free to do so. If something's not working for you, ditch it. Movement is allowed to feel comfortable, wonderful. It's not always a badge of honor to feel the burn. I'm going to start pulling in one leg. Something to play with here is a push-pull. So pulling the leg in, pushing the leg away. Pulling the leg in, pushing the leg away. This can be a great way to start to feel some activation around the hip joint. Just thinking about keeping space between the shoulder and the hips. Hands behind the back of the thigh, pointing the ankle, extending the leg up, flexing the ankle, bending the heel in towards the butt. Pointing, extending, flexing, bending, continuing pointing and flexing. The repetition is what creates the nerve glide. Remembering you can be comfortable, so you do not have to go to your end range or really anywhere near your end range. Option to play with the position of the leg as well. The leg can be in a little or out a little. So playing with the location of that thigh, noticing if you have a bit more space. I find I have a bit more space with the leg out to the side. And then continuing with the nerve glide, pointing and flexing. A great place for some ankle circles too, whether your leg's out to the side or in. Circling the ankle joint, full continuous circles. Eventually going the opposite direction. And then we're going to do a set of hip circles. Option 1, knee bent, knee over hip. Long torso. Option 2, legs straight. Circling from the hip joint across, around and up, drawing the circle on the ceiling. The reason you might want to be bent is to have more control and space in the hip. If you go to extend and the pelvis cannot stay in the start position, it may be better to bend. You can always play with both. Do a few bent. Try and straighten and keep your pelvis where it started. I even have 2 fingers on my hip bones, just feeling my hips. They're shifting a little bit, but I'm controlling it. And then bending that leg in, plant the foot, second side. Take a stretch here, playing with your push-pull. Push, pull, push, pull. Feels nice. I start to feel the hip open up just a little bit. Hands behind the back of the thigh, point the ankle. Extend, flex the ankle, bend. Point the ankle, extend, flex the ankle, bend. Just noticing if it feels different on this side. Very normal. Looking for harmony, not symmetry. And then just check in that your hip bone and your shoulder bone are pretty far apart. You're spacious in your trunk. Option to take the leg out to the side and continue. Less can be more here. Going for a more moderate range. And then finding somewhere to stop and do your ankle circles. Notice if the shin's moving a lot. Trying to keep the shin pretty stable. Let the movement happen at the ankle. You can always have your hands on your shin. You can feel the work in those shin muscles. Feeling the shin and the calf. It's very interesting. Hip circles, whether you're bent, straight, check out that your hip bones are lined up, circle in, across, around, torso's long, exploring the hip socket, and other direction for 5. 2. Bend the leg. Switching back to the first side. Adding on, activating the other leg, the glute. What does the glute do? It extends the leg, the back of the thigh towards the floor. So we want to drop the back of the thigh, pressing the thigh, that's Leslie Logan's term for thigh ass, towards the floor. Then you can go up and down a few times. Contracting the glute, the butt muscle, to help release the front. So think about the muscles at the front of the hip releasing, and the glute butt muscle driving the back of the thigh towards the floor. And then we'll switch. Pulling the leg in, the spine is gently rounded so that we can contract the glute. You can let your back arch a little bit to feel what we don't necessarily want to happen here so that you know the difference. As long as you're slowly moving in and out of different pelvic positions, it's not that one position is inherently better or less dangerous or such. It's just a different position of the pelvis can change the movement. And then we're going to switch and do 1 or 2 per side. So driving the glute down, keeping the pelvis slightly posteriorly tucked, not letting the low back arch. Going for a strong contraction in those glute muscles to help release the muscles in the front of the hips. And then we're going to do legs up. You can bend the knees as much as you want. Comfort over challenge today. That's the goal. And then you're going to let your thighs turn in and your thighs turn out. And your thighs turn in. And again, going for a range that's comfortable. Going at a tempo that's comfortable. You can go quick if you like that, if it feels good. You can go slow if you're slow. Optional, adding in the shin. So you're going to bend the knees, heels come in towards the butt, slightly out to the side and back up. Circling down, out, and up. Down, out, and up. Bringing my heels together and the way down. They don't have to touch. We'll do a few more in this direction. And then we'll explore the other direction. Now the other direction, going up, feet separate out, together. Up, out, together. Thinking about the thigh rotating in the hip socket. Noticing if it feels very different on one leg. And then one of my favorites, legs either straight or micro bend. We're going to scissor kick 1, 2, and helicopter the legs wide around, back to the center. 1, 2, helicopter those legs. Got some nice cracking going on, some bone music, and just keep switching. That's why we're scissor kicking 1, 2, so you end up going both directions. You just scissor kick 1, you're not going to switch. Just feeling those hip sockets. One more each leg. Then you can hug the legs in, tight ball. Breathe space into the low back. And you can pop that foam roller out. Sit up. Foam roller's going behind the rib cage, not too low, not on the floating ribs, more like scapula, shoulder blades. But you can play around with it. Play around with the location, what feels right for today. Hands, hammock behind the back of the head. Start small, just working through your thoracic spine. That's your rib cage area. Going back. Keep those elbows tucked in so the shoulder blades stay wide. Going to wherever you want. You can even relax your abs here. This can become an ab exercise, but first let's just focus on breathing and opening. If you want to feel what it feels like to start drawing your abs in and out, starting at your pelvis, you can do a few with some ab engagement. Make sure you're breathing. All of this mobility work is best served when we're breathing and we are somewhat calm. And anywhere you want to hang out, you can stop and hang out. If you find a good spot and you want to just breathe there, always can stop and pause. Can always add in little repetitive movements. It feels nice to let the elbows come in and then go back over the shoulders. Like a micro movement, 1 inch. Starting to feel a little fire in my armpits. And then we'll sit up. Put the foam roller under the thighs. Feel the sits bones. And then you're going to round forward, pointing the ankles. And then flexing the feet, looking forward, pointing, looking down, flexing, looking forward, pointing, looking down, And just continuing here. Eventually, if it feels okay, you can just leave your gaze down to the floor. I like adding in the looking, flexing, pointing, looking down. And eventually sitting back up onto your sits bones. You can lean back, thinking about the spine lengthening and long. The arms are somewhat light. We don't want to put all of our weight back into our arms. So lifting here. You can also hinge forward, right? Listen to what makes the most sense for your spine today. If sitting upright makes you feel compressed, lean back and lengthen. Point and flex the ankles a few more times. Here's a good spot to look at your ankles. Notice if one edge of the foot is doing more of the work and recruit that other edge, right? So if your inner edge is doing the work, recruit that outer edge. And outer edge, inner edge. Now hold a point, a strong point through the ankle, the arch of the foot, all 10 toes curling in. And then try and relax your toes a little bit. This is a lot of work. So the arch of the foot's working, the toes are lengthening, and then pressing through the back of the thighs to extend up the legs and lower. Pressing down into the foam roller. Really letting the quads at the front of the thigh engage and stabilize the knee. Using the feedback of the foam roller, pressing the thigh into the foam roller. For 4. And then laying down, the foam roller can stay at the same spot under the thighs. The hands onto the hip bones. The legs can stay straight, engaging the legs, engaging the quads, just like before. A tiny posterior pelvic tuck, right? So the opposite of an arch spine. A little tuck, keeping length still. So we're not over tucking so much that our hips and our shoulders are coming closer. There's still a lot of length here. And that is going to help us engage our glute butt muscles. So I already feel my butt ready to do the job. I'm pressing through the thighs, lifting up, and lowering back down. Little tuck, engage the butt, lifting, and lowering. For such a small movement, this is a surprising amount of muscular activation. Optional, roll the foam roller below the knee as well. You can have it on your calves. A nice way to smash the calves as well. So maybe finding a spot on your calf muscles that's tender can feel nice. You're getting that calf smash and some glute activation. It's like a double treat. And then it can also be done closer towards the ankles. The further away from your butt, it's a little bit more of a challenge. Little tuck. And then flipping onto the side body for some side series. Foam roller in between the thighs. This can be really nice to just stay here and breathe for a little while. You can squeeze the foam roller and relax, and squeeze and relax. And you might notice a pattern. A lot of these movements are repetitive. That's one of my favorite ways to move, is repetitive, small movements that allow me time to relax a little bit. Quite honestly, relaxing is hard. Now hip bone starts stacked, and then taking the top hip bone, rolling it forward, that top thigh rolls forward as a result, and then pulling that top hip back. It's not up, down, it's pelvis rolls forward and back. It's very micro. I've taught this in class before, and almost everyone wants to go up, down. So normal, so natural. It's hip bone forward and back. Forward and back. A shearing. So that top leg is shearing over the bottom thigh. And then you can just keep doing that. And if you can only do up, down, that's fine too. That's not going to hurt anything. This shearing feels great for the pelvis, just opening up that range. And then letting the thighs line up, taking the top thigh into internal rotation, which means the foot elevates, gets higher, and then lower. The foot might not go very high. That's okay. Listen to your hip socket, right? If your hip socket had a voice, it would be saying. So we want to find this movement from the hip socket. Try and leave your knee alone, right? The action's not happening at the knee. The knee's there though. It's part of the team. And then you can straighten and bend. Again, firing up that quad. And then a great place to do some inner thigh work, taking the foam roller, putting it under that top shin, firing up the lower leg, that inner thigh, right where the thigh is becoming the pelvis, to lift that leg and lower, and lift and lower. This can be quite a challenge too, so your leg doesn't necessarily have to go high. If anything, I'm thinking reach. Reach the heel away. Doesn't matter how high it goes, how much reach can you get? Lengthen the leg. Inner thigh starting to burn a little. So if that's uncomfortable, you can always just pause and rest. I did invite you to be comfortable during this practice. So feel free to take a rest and then try a few more. Taking some thoracic circles. So I'm going to keep my arm bent. It couldn't be straight, it doesn't matter. But I want to lead from my armpit, my upper arm, so that I can move my rib cage. So I'm keeping the shin on the foam roller, and I'm drawing circles from my armpit and upper arm, and breathing into the rib cage. This feels glorious. We'll do a couple more in this direction. Cracking my jaw. Remember to relax your face if you forgot. It happens. And then reverse it. The more relaxed our face is, our neck, the more efficiently we can breathe into the lung lobes, breathing down into the sides of the lungs. And then we'll switch sides. Hopefully I'll remember what we did. Okay, start with the foam roller in between the thighs. Oh my gosh, that feels so good. So just breathe here. Remember, you could just stop and breathe if anything's feeling good. That's the purpose of this particular video. Not necessarily every video, but you're always welcome to. And then rolling that top thigh forward and back. It can always be helpful to take your hand and put it on that top hip bone to feel and guide with your hand. Push that hip forward, the thigh goes forward. Pull that hip back, the thigh goes back. Just really learning the pelvis, learning the rhythm. And eventually working that internal rotation of the top thigh goes in, the foot pops up. Remember, try and leave your knee alone. The knee's just stabilizing the lower leg. The rotations at the hip socket. That wonderful hip socket. Maybe notice if the range is a little different. You might have forgotten. I don't even know today. Every day is different. Shocking. And eventually firing up that quad, extending the leg and bending. Next, we put the foam roller under the shin. Hip bones lined up, firing up that adductor, those inner thigh muscles on the bottom leg to lift and lower and lengthen that leg. Remember, it's more about the length and the lift. Lengthen. And keep some pressure onto the foam roller as well. Okay, inner thigh starting to burn a little bit. Remember, permission to just stop. And then thoracic circles, my favorite. Taking that arm. And remember, the arms just are a tool to get the rib cage to move. So it doesn't really matter how much the arm is circling. It's how much can the rib cage circle. Again, going for a comfortable circle though. The amazing thing about being comfortable is you might start to notice more range develop. That is perhaps my favorite part about choosing comfort over challenge. And sometimes I do choose challenge. Challenges can be amazing. It's not that. The reason I love comfort is because it is rare in the fitness community, it feels like, to really value what comfortable movement feels like. And then reversing it. Learning how to balance between effort and ease. What a concept. It's taken me a very long time to learn that as well. Almost everything you'll hear me say, I heard from someone else. These are not original thoughts. Someone gave me permission to choose comfort over challenge, to choose curiosity, and it changed my life. And we're gonna flip into a child's pose with the foam roller out in front. As you reach out, you're shrugging your shoulders up by your ears and then pulling it back in. So palms are facing in like you could clap, shrugging the shoulders up and pulling back. Shrugging the shoulders up. And just continuing. You can stay anywhere that feels good as well. If you're down here in your child's pose and you want to breathe, keep a little pressure into the forearms so that you have space in the back of the rib cage. And eventually crawling onto your stomach. And swanning. Now the palms, it's okay if they face towards the floor. If you want them facing in, that's fine too. Especially as you reach overhead. Naturally, I want my palms in a little. And then remember, finding somewhere that's comfortable. So if it's really comfortable for you to fully extend up into swan, you do you. It feels better to just stay long and work those shoulder blades in and out. It's like choose your own adventure. Okay, got one more for you today. Foam roller under the hip. It can be anywhere between your hip and your knee. You can also play around with it. You can be on your forearms, you can be down on your belly. Again, whatever works. I'm gonna just ever so slightly posterior pelvic tilt, nothing too extreme. And then option to bend the heel in towards your butt. And keep going. Repetitive movements for the win. Remember, you can move around, find a different tender spot. Ooh, that spot's more tender. I like that. Option to windshield wiper the upper thigh in and out. So again, it looks like my lower leg's moving. It is moving. It's just not doing the moving. The doing is happening at the hip, the pelvis. My family understandably thinks I'm obsessed with the pelvis. Because I am. Pelvis is such a wonderful structure. And whenever you've had enough of that, you can switch sides. Ooh. So interesting to find all these different spots. Wow, that was a big release. Okay, second side. Find a tender spot. It's not hard for me to find a tender spot. Tends to be more tender. Up closer to the hip or down by the knee. And then bending that heel in way tighter. Interesting. Just noticing. We don't have to judge, we can just notice. Again, if you're deep in a back arch like I am, you can slightly posterior tuck. But you don't have to. If you want to let it drop, you do you. That's why I love YouTube. And if you want to find a different tender spot, you can roll that around. Ooh. Can windshield wiper in and out. Ooh. This is very sensational. But again, remembering, try and find somewhere where you can breathe and stay comfortable. I know this can be intense. And then since we're here, let's do one more because I really want to do my glutes. So cross one ankle on the thigh and then I'm going to roll onto that butt. So finding somewhere that's tender. I tend to get tender around the side, on that side glute, that side butt muscle. Oh yeah, that feels glorious. And then breathing. You can always just stop. I really like to pulse like 1 inch or less. Just gliding back and forth. Breathing. Always trying to help my body relax. Just tell it, relax. And we'll do the other side. So cross ankle over thigh and then roll onto that other side. Awesome. Hope that helped release any tension you're holding. Thanks for joining. Hope more videos are to come soon. Thank you. Have a great day.